All right, it's time for another weekend spent working on the BSA. Last week we got it running, but what we found was we had all kinds of fuel flow issues. We got one petcock that stopped up, one petcock that actually won't stop running. Found that out later that it's not leaking out this side, but it's leaking through the petcock and just steadily sending gasoline to the float bowl. Not fast enough, apparently, but it sends it in there anyway. And so it's the float bowl's overflowing and causing problems. So the carburetor needs to be rebuilt and the petcocks need to be dealt with. So I thought about, keeping these and replacing the corks and all that fun stuff. And they're kind of low profile and that's kind of cool. But I thought to myself, this isn't the first time I've had to deal with these type of petcocks, and it's easier if you want a functional, and is it 100% correct for this bike? No, that would be these petcocks. This is correct for the bike. But you can get this style petcock, which were put on British bikes, around the same time, shortly after, and they're reliable, they don't leak. You have to do a conversion because this is a different diameter than what this is, and so there's a conversion nut that you put in there. I've got a whole video on installing this style petcock, like I say, which was used on the later British bikes. I got a whole video on it when I put one on my 1964 BSA C15 because I got tired of dealing with these petcocks on it. So I'm going to do the conversion and convert this bike to this style of petcock, just because I don't want to have to, assuming you get the corks in there and it quits leaking, it'll quit leaking for a while and then you'll have to do it again. And I just don't want to have to deal with all that. I want to put it on there, get it fixed. So when I go to ride, turn on the gas flows, we go ride, we come back, turn the gas off, and the gas is off. I don't want to have to deal with it. It's just problems I don't need. I want this bike to be, like, say, a rider that I can go out and enjoy. So I'm going to do this a little bit of a period conversion to go ahead and make the bike more rideable, more usable. So anyway, and again, I've got a complete video on that. If you want to see it, I'm not going to do it on camera because it takes a lot of time. You got to drain the tank. Got to put some thread sealing on there. You got to put the conversion nut, hook everything up, and all that. So I'm going to do all that and clean the tank out a little bit, make sure we don't have any rust, because I did find rust that was making it into the carb filter down here, which is part of the fuel flow problem. So we're going to clean the tank. We're going to do the petcock conversion. I'm going to do that off camera. I'm not going to show that. I'll show it when it's done. But like I said, I'm not going to film all that whole process. And then I've got to do a carb rebuild on this carburetor, clean the jets out and everything. And I got a carb rebuild kit for this carb. Ordered all that this week. So I've got the petcock material, carb rebuild material. And so that's what I'm going to focus on this week. I'm going to get the tank done first and the petcocks. And then once I have that done, like I say, I may do some of it in parallel. I'll go ahead and pull the carb and get, working on getting those pieces and parts cleaned and set up. So anyway, more to come on that. And hopefully we can get through all that this weekend and have a rideable bike by the end of the day on Sunday. That's the goal. Anyway, and we'll be bringing you guys in and out periodically as we move through the process, but I don't want to bore you with, let's say, an additional video of something that I already have a video on how to do. So anyway, let's get into it. All right, let's give you guys an update of where we're at. I'm not going to film every little aspect of this because you guys have seen a guy take a gas tank off before. So anyway, I pulled the gas tank off, drained all the fuel out of it into a gas can through a filter so the gas that's in the gas can is nice and clean and filtered. So did that. Took the gas tank outside, filled it with detergent. I'm running detergent and water through it to get all the junk and crud, any debris out of there. I want to get it good and clean, so I'm in the process of doing that. But in parallel, I want to pull the carburetor and get it taken apart so we can start the carb rebuild on this thing. And as you can see right here, we took the air filter off. It's right there. For those of you who don't know, these things screw on, so you have to back it off. It's threaded right here. Anyway, so backed off the air cleaner, took it out. Now I'm going to take these two bolts here, or two little screws here, loose. It's going to enable us to bring the slide up out of the carburetor and take these two nuts off here. That'll enable us to get the carburetor off the bike over to the bench where I can start doing a rebuild on it and getting it all cleaned up. Anyway, so that's where we are, making progress towards getting this fuel system right, and we'll bring you guys along as we go. Okay, so we pulled the carburetor off. A couple of things. One, the slide was really tight, didn't want to come out of there. So we're going to clean the slide up a little bit here, clearly the main needle here, and just get the slide itself cleaned up. So that's one thing we need to deal with. We'll get that accomplished as we move through this rebuild. The other thing, if we come over here and we look at the condition of this thing, you can see a lot of crustiness here. Clearly this carburetor has not been cleaned in a long time. So we're going to take care of that, and we're going to clean it. Down here in the float bowl, you can see again, you know, we've all seen the ones that are just covered in varnish. This one doesn't have so much varnish. It's just, like I say, a lot of corrosion, if you will, almost. It's old and not very clean. So we're going to get all that cleaned up, get the crustiness off of it. The float seems to be fine. It moved well, that kind of thing. But we'll get rid of all this crustiness. We'll do the needle and seat stuff. Replace this filter, which had some tears in it and was plugged up, actually had some rust and whatnot. Same thing here where the fuel lines come in. Again, you can kind of see that crustiness in there. So get all that cleaned up, clean all these jets, get it all good where everything can flow like it's supposed to. And then we'll get it reassembled and back on the bike, and then kind of go from there. So anyway, I may put the camera in the dock while I do some of that. I'm not sure yet. So I'm really trying to get a lot of stuff done so that I can get this bike up and running, because I really want to get to riding it. But you know, by the time our fall weather starts to get here, which isn't all that far away, I really want to make sure the bike's tuned in and dialed. And I may still have to do a chain and some other things on it. So I want to get it going. So anyway, but we'll get it done, and we'll bring you guys along as much as we can. All right, figure I'll bring you guys in a little bit, trying to film this. Need both my hands with all these little parts, so, but I did want to kind of bring you guys in and give you a little look at what we're doing. So I got the carb taken apart, as we showed you earlier. I cleaned up the bowl, inside the bowl, the corrosion, blew out through all the passageways, the hinge point here for the float. So all that's fairly cleaned out. I want to run a little bit here more on the where the needle valve goes, the float valve. So I'm going to clean that up a little bit more. It's hard to passage to get to, so I'm going to mess with that a little bit. We cleaned up our main jet, took all this apart, pulled out the jet here, cleaned it up, made sure all the passages are cleared and blown through. Cleaned up the gasket surface mating areas. So all that is good and clean. So carburetor is good and clean. The only concern I have with this, and I don't know that you guys probably can't see it, but there's a spot in the bottom of this bowl that, man, it's getting close to corroding through. So I don't know. Carb should work. We'll run it for a while, but I can see a leak on the horizon with that thing. I don't know if you can buy just a bowl for these things or not, but we'll see. Another thing I wanted to talk about just briefly, like I said, the filter screen was all clogged. We're going to put a new one of those. And whoever worked on this carb last, the old Phillips screw, they put too much oomph on them, and so these screws are not in the best condition. I didn't order any, so I'm going to have to go back with these, but should be able to get them tight enough. Like I said, that's why they get stripped out, because people put too much torque on them. But anyway, so we'll start reassembling this. I'm getting little pieces put back together here with our carb kit that we ordered from the Bonneville shop. So let's see what we've got in here as far as putting this thing back together. One thing for sure, let's take this out a little bit at a time. Got our gaskets. And we should have a new needle. Yep. So this guy can replace the one that's here. It doesn't look that bad, the one that's in here, but as long as we're in here, let's go ahead and replace it. So we're going to place that. Clips in here into this little pocket here in the float. Oh shoot, forgot I was going to blow this out real quick. Give me just a second. Gonna get noisy for just a second. All right. It looks like we got a good mating surface. All right, so again, we're gonna drop this in here, and our hinges drop right in there. So, and this isn't adjustable, so it kind of is what it is, which is kind of convenient. But so we got that set in there. Let that set for a second, and then let's see here. Make sure we have the right gasket. So here's our gasket. All right, so we got our gasket comes in over the top like this. I don't know if, like I said, it's gonna be hard to hold all this and show you guys, but I'll do the best I can. All right, and we should have this sitting just like this, these holes aligned. All right, and there's the one little jet that has to fit through the gasket as well. So we got that. Flip it over here where we can get these screws started. Phillips head. These Amwell concentrics are amazingly simple carburetors. The first one I've had to work on. There's not a lot to them. Just kind of nice. So we're compressing that gasket evenly as best we can. All right, so we've got that on there. So that's our float. Needle. All right, now let's see here. I need to see if we can clean this piece up a little bit. Let me put this in here. Oh, that's not gonna work. Let's see what we can do. It's hard to get down in this thing. It's not horrible, but it's got just a little bit of corrosion. I want to kind of scrape out of there. It's down the bottom. Yeah, this thing, the inside of the carburetor was just, like I said, I've seen worse from a fuel perspective, but this thing had a lot of corrosion in it. Like it's just been, you know, well, I mean, I guess it's 50 years old or whatever. 55-year-old motorcycle. So if this is the original carb, which it may be based on the way it looks, it's pretty crusty. Make sure the lines are all clear. All right. So we got a piece here, which sits like this. So it's going to go right there. This thing has a slight angle to it. And you got to look at how the carb sits this way, with that being the engine side. And so our fuel lines, we want to peel off at a rearward angle. I hope I'm getting all this in the view. It's hard. I can't see the camera and do this at the same time. So I'm doing the best I can. Please bear with me on that. All right. So we got our new filter. Drop that in. Push this on here. Now, let's clean up our bolt here a little bit. So we made sure we got this bolt cleaned up. All the holes and orifices in it are good to go. I'll screw this in. Oh, almost forgot. Let's change the gasket on that guy. Brush up that gasket surface real quick. And if you're wondering what the noise is, it's just a Dremel with a little bitty brush on it, and just cleaning that surface off just a little bit, get it nice and smooth. Not a big deal. So we'll put our new gasket in here. All right, that on there. Trying to get that centered up and tightened up. Again, not careful not to go crazy and over tighten it. Just get it tight, right? All right, so we've got that part of the carb done. Now, couple things we were cleaning up. We've got our mixture screw and our throttle stop, or slide stop, depending on what you want to call it. Left to put back into the carb body here. And what I want to do is use the new. So there's our throttle stop. And our idle mixture, and they come with new O-rings, so we're going to use those. So, brand new idle mixture screw. Go ahead and put that in there. Oh, wrong side. run that in. We'll run it until it stops, and then we'll back it out. So it's all the way in. So that's a half. That's 1.5. I like to start at 1.5 out. I don't know. Some people may start other places. I'm sure the manual has a recommendation, and I may look at that before I actually try to start the bike. But for now, I'm going to go with the 1.5. And the slide stop, I'm just going to put in part way for now. We'll adjust that based off of slide movement. That's the one thing I'm noticing right off the bat. These replacement screws are not the same length as the ones we pulled. Similar, but not the same. So we'll back these out a little bit again, make sure we got them started, but we'll adjust as needed. All right. So got everything's cleared out. Looks good. Trying to make sure I didn't forget anything. That's our body there. Again, we cleaned up the inside of the throat here, which I'm going to pre-lube a little bit before I put the slide back in there. I'll run over here and clean the slide a little bit. All right, now all right, so now let's see, we're going to remove this slide just a little bit. So it's not going in dry. All right. All right, so everything we're forgetting here. Don't think there is. All right, so that should be everything there on that part. I mean, I still got to put the O-ring and so on the bike, but and clean some surfaces there. But other than that, the slide's ready to go back in this thing. So we'll get to that. It's going to be hard for me to show this on film, so I'm just going to cut it here and then bring you guys back once I got it kind of installed. Okay, so we got the carb put back on the bike. I say it's really as simple as putting the slide back in. I'd already cleaned the slide and the needle. And so anyway, so it's a matter of sliding that back in. There's a groove that it rides in, so there's only one way that it can go. You want to put these two screws in here to hold it down. Don't overdo it, which somebody has done, which kind of stripped that one out, which is so annoying. And I don't have a replacement, but I was able to get it snug because, again, you don't want to have to kill it, right? So all that's put back on. One other thing of note, if you're ever doing one of these animal carbs, it's kind of a known thing. Do not over tighten these guys right here. These nuts that hold the carb on that made it to the manifold surface. There's one on each side, and if you over tighten, these carb bodies are pretty soft, and if you over tighten them, it'll cause a bow in that where the two faces come together, which can cause you to start to get an air leak around it. You'll get a lean condition, different things like that. So just remind yourself, if you're ever working on these, do not over tighten these guys right here. That'll cause you all kinds of problems that you don't need. And then to get them back to true, you've got to put them on like a piece of glass and sand them and that kind of thing. So it's a pain. Best just don't over tighten them to begin with. Okay, so we've got the carb rebuilt, put back on the bike. We'll have to adjust it once we get the bike running and everything. I'm going to go ahead and put the air cleaner back on. It, like I say, it just screws on. So we'll get all that back on here, and then we'll be ready for the tank. Now, the tank's going to take a minute, so I'll work on that the rest of the day today. Won't really do that on camera. I'll get it cleaned out and do the new petcocks again. Like I say, I have a separate video on that petcock conversion that I did on my BSA C15 if you want to see how that's done, but I don't feel the need to repeat it here. So I'll get those new petcocks installed, and once I have that and get the tank back on, all the fuel lines hooked back up, we should be able to start this thing and get the carburetor adjusted. There won't be any trash in it, and the thing should run good, and we should be ready to go. Anyway, so that's the plan, and I'll bring you guys back. It's probably going to be tomorrow because, like I say, it takes a while to do those petcocks because I use a thread sealant that needs to cure and some things like that. So once I get all that done and get the tank, I'm sure it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, get it back on the bike, then we'll put some gas in it, kick the thing off, get the carburetor adjusted, and hopefully maybe this weekend we can take it for a test ride. That's the hope. Anyway, appreciate it. Okay, quick update. It's Sunday morning, not early morning, but it's morning. We did the install of the later model British type petcocks, the conversion away from the push-pull type petcocks. So anyway, did that yesterday. Like I said, I have a separate video on that if you'd like to see it. I did it for my BSA C15. I converted it. But I went ahead and converted and put these type petcocks on both sides of the bike. And what I'm doing now is I'm just got the tank full of gas. So I'm checking for any leaks around any seams, make sure we don't have any leaks at all. Like I say, these are good lever petcock, so they flow through quite easy. So just trying to verify no leaks. If there's no leaks, I'm gonna let it sit for a while, see if any leaks develop. If there's no leaks, then we've got our little 9-degree elbow pipes that we'll put on the bottom here, and then we'll run soft line down here to the carburetor. Carburetor's been rebuilt, jets are all cleaned out, everything, so we should be good to go there. So pretty close. Do the 90s and the soft lines here just as soon as we can make sure that nothing's leaking. And then maybe we can kick this thing off and we'll see how it does. I'll have to adjust the carburetor. Of course, it's going to need readjustment after all that. But anyway, we're getting really close. All right, guys, that's fuel taps are in. They don't appear to be leaking anywhere. We put our 90s in. Next thing we're going to do is test to make sure that they're not leaking. I don't think they will. It's a compression fitting. Got our hoses on. Carburetor's rebuilt. Bring it around here, show you the other side. Again, here's the other side with our 90s coming down and going to the carburetor. Everything tucked away. Carburetor rebuilt. Like I say, don't appear to have any leaks as of yet. The 90 shouldn't leak. Also, they make a different 90 that comes down and then just goes straight out. I may switch to those at some point, but for now, this is fine. And I've used this kind. It's on my other BSA. It works just fine. So I think we'll be okay there. We've got it pretty much ready. I'm gonna test the leaking at the 90 here. Make sure we don't have any leaks on either side for that. And then we'll lower this thing down, let some gas get to the carburetor, and kick this thing off and see how we do. All right, we got the leaks. It was leaking a little bit around the 90 elbows a little bit when I first put it on there. So we put a little thread sealant there. Got those leaks under control. It's still leaking a little bit right where the filter goes in the float bowl, but just barely. So I'll go ahead and get that corrected, but I wanted to go ahead and see if we can get this thing started and possibly get it adjusted on the carb side. So figure we'll go ahead and try and kick her off here and see if we can do that, and then kind of go from there. But I wanted to go ahead and see if we can get that done, let you guys see it run. I'll probably correct that leak though before I take it for a test ride. So the test ride might not happen this weekend, but we got these petcocks addressed, and like saying, they do shut off well and they seal and all that. It's just a matter of right at the float bowl. Still has a little bit of a leak. So it may take me a second to get that corrected. But anyway, let's fire this thing off and see what we can do. Ignition on. Give her a little tickle. Alright, let's see what that does. adjustment here. One. I'll enrich it a little bit. All right. That was encouraging. have it. BSA is running. It's ready to test ride. Engine sounds great. We got that carburetor dialed in pretty good. It's ticking over good. The only thing I would say is, like I said, I still have to get that fuel leak, and it's a real minor fuel leak. It's not even dripping while the bike's running because the bike outpacing the fuel. Where the little filter basket is, it's leaking right there. So I'm gonna have to, I don't know, clean up some surfaces there, see what I can do to get that leak to stop. Other than that, it seems pretty good, and I'm gonna let the bike cool down to do that. But as you can see, bike runs. For all intents and purposes, it's finished. Just gotta clean up that leak. Hopefully, and I'm gonna call this the video for this week. It's super hot outside. I don't really feel like putting the gear on to go take this thing for a test ride just yet. So maybe I'll do the test ride. That'll be next week's video. I'll try to charge a GoPro and give you guys a point of view on the bike when we do that test ride. Don't have the GoPro charged right now. So like I say, a few little things to tidy up, and then it'll be ready for test ride. That'll be next week's video. Until then, I appreciate it, you guys tuning in, and hope this video was somewhat informative. Anyway, appreciate it, guys.